Hey, Vaughn.
How are you, Kim?
I am well. Welcome, everybody, to But First Football Preseason Edition. One more week to go in the preseason. So before we start talking, I don't know. I heard this thing this morning, and I wanted to run it by you and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Is Jerry Jones having this, big to-do with Micah Parsons as a way to promote their Netflix special?
I don't think so. Look, everyone knows he has a huge ego, but he's a serious businessman, right? And
Well, you would think.
Well, yeah, whatever his character flaws are, I took him as being serious, right? And he wants to do things his way. This whole thing with like the agent and sticking things in places, with the it just, if it's not true that he said it and Jerry's just fabricating it, then it just means he's not a serious person. You don't grow that franchise to the heights that it is and bring the NFL really along with them. Like, a lot of the reason why the NFL is so successful has a lot to do with Jerry. I just take him as a serious guy, serious businessman. Yeah, he likes attention, but he's a serious person. And so if this is not true, I why would he say it? And so regardless of whether it's not, even if he did say it and he's bringing it to light, it does not bode well for the Cowboys. Put it that way. It's just always something with them.
I know. Well, I was just curious because that show is on, and I don't think I feel like I don't want to watch it. I'm into the cheerleaders, but it would be interesting. But I kind of don't want to give in to Jerry Jones.
Well, I think it's probably very interesting just because I don't know if you remember, but he fired Tom Landry, who was just the longtime beloved coach of the Cowboys, and brought in Jimmy Johnson. And at the time, he was the villain. Tom Landry had won Super Bowls and was just such a beloved, had the suit and tie on the sideline and just so highly thought of just by fans and everyone. And he got rid of him. And so he built an incredible franchise, just on the field, forget the off the field stuff. And so I think it's just interesting from that standpoint. I don't think they need to sell it with this drama today, right? I don't think they're connected. Put it that way. I don't think they're connected.
I know. And you know what? And I hate that we're even talking about it. And I'm mad at myself for even bringing it up because it's just I'm feeding into it. But it's just if I was a Cowboy fan, I would be so annoyed because they really need Micah Parsons. Yeah, if they don't want him, I do. I want him here.
No, he's one of the top defenders, and unfortunately sounds like, and obviously I'm not the first to say it, but it sounds like it's gotten personal for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And they're both fighting it in the media, which is never good. The less said outside those walls is probably better, but unfortunately it's spilled out and it's got nasty. And of course that affects. Everyone's aware of it, even if you don't talk about it. You don't ever as a player want to talk about someone else's money. That's none of your business, right? You support your teammate other than saying, hey, I hope he's here. When he's here, we're gonna welcome him back with open arms. But it's gotta affect everyone. It's because here's the thing. Here's the problem, Kim. If guys see that and say, hey, Micah has well outperformed every expectation we've had of him, and he has to go through this acrimony to get his contract done. So I'm not more special than he is. So if they're doing it to him, they're going to do it to me, right?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, because that's what it feels like. That has to be the message this is sending in the locker room. I don't see how it couldn't. I mean, no one's going to want to play in Dallas. Dak is probably going, why did I sign that? Now I'm stuck here. I'll never be able to leave.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't care.
there's a guy who does YouTube who you might want to check out. And I'll send you the link, but his name's Bubba Dub, and he's a huge Cowboy fan. He's hilarious. I don't know if you've ever seen him, but
is he the guy that calls into Dan Patrick?
There's
a guy that calls into Dan Patrick. I thought his name was Bubba. I wonder. I'll look at him. I'll check it out.
It may be, but he is a huge Cowboy fan, but he just calls Jerry on his, and he's got a delivery that's pretty funny, right? So, but a lot of his points about his Cowboys are correct, and like Jerry the Maverick who goes and signed. Just more recently, I saw a video of him talking about when he signed Charles Haley, when he signed Deion Sanders, right? When he gets these big names, because it's like this piece will put us over the top, and in those instances it did. And now they've got one of their own, and they're not getting the deal done. And I expect them to get it done at some point, but it's and I guess he's being fiscally responsible, but it's like that's why you get these deals done earlier than later, because you get a bit of a discount. Everyone's still, it doesn't get to this point where you're talking in the press, he's talking in the press. So I don't know. I don't know.
But it's like, but it's a damaged relationship now. Like, how awkward, you're gonna go to if it gets resolved. I mean, how's it gonna feel like the first time they, either win or lose a game, and Jerry's talking smack on the sidelines, and I don't know. I think it's just awkward. And then there's poor Brian Schottenhammer stuck in the middle. A first-time coach? Holy cow.
Yeah, but he's been in the organization for a few years before becoming head coach, so he knows what to expect down there, right? Oh. And it would be funny to truly find out if maybe Jerry's playing a big trick on all of us. In his mind, I've already built a dominant force in the league. We won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, so clearly I've proven my bona fides as far as building a team, and now it is just about increasing the value of this team as much as I can. So the more we're in the press for whatever reason, I'll take it. Maybe that is the joke that's being played on all of us.
I know, it's annoying. Let's move on. What else do you want to talk about today? I'm sorry I brought it up, and I'm sorry I fell for it, Jerry Jones.
No, there's just kind of hitting little different stories throughout the NFL. One that came up was Lamar Jackson's injury, where the Ravens are playing it as well. It's a foot injury, and we're kind of thankful it's not as bad as we thought. But Adam Schefter, who has a Rolodex envy, right? Has medical people, I'm sure, tons of medical guys on his Rolodex, is saying that he thinks it may be more serious than they're letting on. So that's just a little interesting tidbit. And of course, I couldn't tell you either way. I have no clue.
Right.
But I thought it was interesting that he would go out of his way to say, hey, I think this injury might be more severe, and I'm sure he's not coming up with that. I'm sure someone's telling him that. So thought that was
it has been a strangely quiet about it. Yeah. But the other injury that's interesting is Matthew Stafford. They brought in some weird, I should know, it's a recovery something. It's a recovery thing on wheels, and they brought it into the facility. But did you know there's a rumor that Matthew Stafford is dead? I did not know that. I mean, that's not funny. First hearing. It's not funny, but he's not dead. And but they on Good Morning Football this morning, they had this, what they were referring to as a staffometer. How concerned should you be? The bottom rung was, it's okay, we've got Jimmy, meaning Jimmy Garoppolo. And then number 2 was something else, and then number 3 was starting to freak out, So McVay is known for holding things very close to the vest and not sharing any information. So it feels like things in LA could be a little up in the air, you know?
Well, anytime, you're using special apparatus and especially on your starting QB, like, yeah, I would say mild concern, right?
Especially when your starting QB is
Yeah,
37 years old.
well, that too,
There's
that
that.
too. At this point, if I was a Ram fan, I don't think I'd be overly concerned. Just kind of keep monitoring the situation and look. There's still plenty of time before they kick for the opening weekend. Still basically 2 weeks, and so yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned yet. As long as he gets some, look, Stafford is a guy who. Look, everyone gets better from the reps, but of all the guys who can miss some of the reps, yeah, some of the timing gets screwed up, but he'll be able to step in and they'll have good continuity and they'll make plays and they're a lot of people's pick to go deep into the playoffs this year, so
Yeah.
they're talented at other places, so we'll see. I wouldn't worry yet.
And then the other contract situation that doesn't seem to be getting resolved is the Terry McLaurin situation in Washington. That's nothing. There doesn't seem to be any movement there. And that's a little concerning for Washington, I would think, considering how important he was last year. And I don't know. I mean, I get why they don't want to pay him. He's an older wide receiver, but yeah, it's coming down to the wire here for him too.
But they've got other concerns, right? He was so important to the maturation of Jaden Daniels. So, he had that great freshman season, and
Right.
He's looking to build on that. And so you don't want him going into this year with any issues regarding his, number one receiver, right?
Which is why I think it's
Which,
unusual that they have not resolved this. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, why would they want to mess with something that was so good last year?
well, it's so funny because it's funny to talk about how high some of these contracts are and use the word fiscal responsibility. And I'm not saying it's that because I don't think it's that. I just think these franchises, they don't want to look. The salary cap went up again this year. However, they don't want to set precedents, right? Right? And because they don't want the next guy to be able to come, well, hey, here's what you did in this situation. I want that same issue. Here's how I can back it up. Here are my stats. I'm this age. I'm this, that. And so they try to not set precedent. So they wanted, it's not that they don't want him. They want him at their number, right? That's the
Right.
point. And
Yeah.
he's and like I told you, these guys when it's their turn, they're not going to take less than the guy before them. Now, that's assuming they're demonstrably in that same group of guys, right? Like you're not going to be the fourth receiving option and try to get top receiver money. It doesn't work that way. But I'm saying if you're in that group of guys and your contract comes up, well, yeah, you're not going to take less than those 3 or 4 guys who signed before you. It's just how it
Right.
works. A
Yeah.
lot of it is timing, right? So, yeah, again, you expect them to ultimately get the job done and get the deal done. And, and again, it's good for him too that they struck gold last year in the draft with this quarterback. And he seems like he's going to be a 15-year top flight starter in the NFL. And so that's just fortuitous for him.
He's so skinny. I just can't imagine. Like, he is so skinny. How does he not break? He is not a big guy, Like, I see him on that flag football commercial, and that's the first thing that comes in my head every time is he's so skinny. And he has amazing jewelry. Him and Justin Jefferson have really fantastic jewelry, like major. But he's so skinny. What else? So Giants, the New York Giants. So I think like crazy stuff there. First of all, I think Russell Wilson had a pretty good, he was only in for, I think, 1 or 2 series. Was it last week? They played last night. I haven't seen anything from that. But then Winston came in and threw a bomb on his first throw, scored a touchdown. So that was awesome. But then they did bring in Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart? Was that his name?
Jackson.
Okay. So, I mean, and I think he did pretty well. So how long do you think it's going to take for Brian Daboll to panic and pull Russell Wilson out and then put Dart in? And then Dart, it feels like they should let him sit for a year, kind of do the Patrick Mahomes thing, they're setting, we've talked about this before, where a lot of these young quarterbacks are, in my opinion, being kind of set up to fail. Like if Russell has one bad game, I could totally see Daboll trying to save his own ass, put Dart in, and is that really fair to a kid that's still, learning?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, right? Like it's human nature to, he realizes that he's kind of, what is this, year 4, 5, or 6 for him? I can't say offhand, but he's at the end of that length of rope that he's had, and so if he doesn't get results this year, there's going to be issues. And if Russell doesn't get it done, then yeah, I can definitely see them putting in Jackson Dart, because one, maybe it buys him a little more leeway if they don't have the results that they want, and also depending on what they've seen in practice and in the preseason, maybe he does give them the best opportunity to win. I like to think that, because it seems like Russell's just dropped off a cliff these last couple of years, and maybe it's
it's bad.
from that off the field stuff and the stuff with his teammates, and he's a prima donna, this, that, maybe that's affected him. Well, he's on his, 3rd stop since the glory days, and so maybe he has one more, kind of push in him, and so maybe we'll see that. But yeah, I can definitely see a situation Dart gets thrown in there, and then like there's different schools of thought on that, right? I tend to think, especially at that position, you're probably better off if you start later than sooner. But then you look at a Peyton Manning who, or even a Troy Aikman, who they both took their lumps their rookie years, got beat up and didn't win many games, and then just went on to have Hall of Fame careers. So
right,
there's no just necessarily one way to go about it, but it depends on what you put around the guy, right?
I think that's what it is. Like, do you have a strong supporting cast? Do you have a strong coaching situation? I mean, is Brian Daboll a strong coach? I don't know. I mean, it seems like the Giants have just been kind of a disaster for a while now. And, so you can segue from that, where Daniel Jones was their starting quarterback, who is now going to be starting in Indianapolis. That Indianapolis Colts thing just seems like a debacle. That guy, those coaches, whoever made the decision to draft Anthony Richardson, really, that was dumb. Dumb.
Well, like I told you, as a player, you always think to yourself, all I need is one team to like me, right?
Yes.
One of the 32 teams. And then within an organization, sometimes it just takes that one executive, that one coach who's going to champion, no, we need this guy. This is the key to us turning things around. And it sounds like there was someone
turning things around the wrong way.
Well,
terrible.
And look, he's still so young. He can turn it around, and I know there's off the field stuff there as well. And just, here's the thing that people don't understand, especially that there's so much information that you have to process, and it's hard. It's very hard. Even if you're supremely gifted physically, the mental toll and the two together. Now it's not like physical in terms of like you're a young offensive lineman and literally guys with children, mortgages, and that grown man strength are physically trying to dominate you. It's not that. But I'm saying, like, you have to have arm talent at QB. You got to, be able to, read this and read that. But I'm saying the mental part of like just the volumes of information that they have to know. And I think I mentioned it to you before, right? Like, pretty much, I need to know what the line does, right? Now,
Yeah.
if I know the motions and the shifts and all that, I can help myself, because I know if we go in motion away from me and the guy over our receiver stays, well, that means he's staying for a reason. He's probably coming, right? So I can deduce that my guy's probably going to go inside. So that just helps myself to know a little bit of what they do. But for the most part, I don't need to know everything receivers, running backs, tight ends do. Quarterback, you got to know it all. You got to know what the
Right.
line does. You got to know what the receivers do, like everyone. So,
But that's why when I think about why they drafted this kid, he only played in like 5 games. I mean,
yeah,
he didn't
play a ton of
he
games.
didn't play a lot, so he didn't have that experience. And I mean, again, talk about it set up to fail, but at the same time, he also, like, his work ethic and stuff doesn't seem to be the best. But now the Colts are going to start the season, and they've named him the start. They've named Daniel Jones the starter. It's not just like he's starting week 1. He is the starter, and he has not had a terribly successful career himself. So I feel badly for the Colts, because that just doesn't seem like it's going to go well.
Well, I've also mentioned about how these guys, they spend millions of dollars trying to quantify their draft picks, and there's just no way to tell. In like a lot of organizations, just generally in sports, it's like, well, the talent can't be taught, right? So if you identify someone with a talent, we'll get him into our system and our organization. And hopefully he's coming with that work ethic, but he'll learn, and we'll be able to teach him to but the talent is there, and sometimes you draft on that, and sometimes it doesn't work out. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. The kid who has talent, you can bring him along on the other things, versus the guy who's a great student of the game and prepares very well, but his talent ceiling isn't quite as high. Like, because you're not picking for this year and next year. You're projecting out, hey, can this be our 10-year starter, right? And so over that 10 years, you're thinking, oh, the guy with the better raw talent right now is going to have a higher ceiling ultimately, but sometimes everything just doesn't mesh well, and it doesn't work out, which is why you have busts and a draft bust, right? So.
Right. Well, and I mean, if you don't have that, like, kind of quarterback whisperer, if you're going to draft these guys for just pure talent, then it feels like, it doesn't work so well. But yeah, so there's a couple games tonight, I think. The Bucs play tomorrow. We're not playing any starters. I was pleased with Teddy Bridgewater's performance last week, so I'm thinking he's probably going to end up as QB2. Trask has not.
Oh, great. Teddy Bridgewater is still playing.
Isn't it hilarious? He looks younger now than he did when he started. I think it's his hair.
Well, he was back coaching high school at Miami Northwest, and so maybe those young kids rejuvenated him in a lot of ways.
Well, and of course he's been suspended from that job because God forbid he give his kids rides home and food.
Yeah.
Stupid. But I guess he FaceTimed with them before the game. It was cute. Like, that's nice. So I think he's probably just doing this for the year of his suspension, which is fine. It works out for us. But I do believe that Jason and Todd will have to listen to me talk like they're my best friends. Jason and Todd will have to make a decision on QB2 here, because to me, it's not Trask. It just isn't. So, but then, we have a couple of key injuries to start the season here too. Tristan Wirfs is still out, but they think he might be back a little sooner than originally thought. So that's good. If he misses the first 2 weeks and is back in time for the home opener week 3, that would be amazing. And then Godwin is still not ready to go quite yet. So
yeah,
that's
you got Mike Evans, and
yes, we do, and our rookie wide receiver Ed Buka. Oh, he good.
Oh,
He
yeah?
did. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
did you happen to see Derek Carr is going to be doing the YouTube game
Oh
from
no.
Brazil?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I wish that he would tell his brother to do something different with his hair. David Carr's hair is not good.
No?
It's greased. It's like he has a lot of hair. Like he has a lovely head of hair, but he like slicks it back. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So Derek should tell David to change his hair. That's just my opinion. Sorry, Vaughn.
Seen him recently, so I don't know what it's like. I have no frame of reference right now.
He's
I
on
know
NFL
what-
Network. He's on NFL Network, and he does the preseason pregame. So woo!
Okay.
It's a big job.
I'll have to check him out.
Yes, let me know your
if I
thoughts.
agree with you.
I'm sure Ashton can find a picture. Anyway, all right. So, anything else you want to discuss this week? And then I think next week we'll be able to recap the final preseason games, and then we can make our initial picks for. We have to make our beginning of the season Super Bowl picks. That's just got to be done.
Right.
We'll do that next week.
That sounds good.
Anything else to add?
Oh, that's it. I think we covered a lot today. So
We did. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening and watching But First Football, and more games to come. And then 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday is the first game. Woo.
yes.
All right. Okay. Well, Vaughn, have a good one.
All right, you too, Kim.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
That's it. Bye.
Bye.